Typically for group homes, the residents don't always have cars. You're right, it's usually the staff, and on a go-forward basis, we would want to examine and ensure appropriate site planning for appropriate and safe parking.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two questions for staff, and I apologize for turning my back on them, but at least I can see what I'm going to refer to. My first question, Mr. Mayor, is from the top of page 3 in the report, talking about the sort of consultation and outreach that we did on this, and I am really glad that staff did it. Where you reference having met with the home builders, and I'm just going to quote, Mr. Mayor, the residential land supply analysis and the housing density and infill targets were presented. Are those the same targets as the ones shown on the bullets on the previous page? In other words, a target of having 15% of all new housing be multi-res and 15% be semi-detached and townhouse. In other words, 30% of future new development would not be single-family residential. So that's one that I'm curious about. And then the next one, also targeting 25% of new housing be affordable to low and moderate income households. Were those two sets of targets presented to the Home Builders Association when you did your presentation?
Through the mayor, when I made my presentation, yes, those specifically were mentioned, but I also want to add that the Home Builders Association was circulated the whole housing study and the draft official plan amendment so that they could see it and comment on it.
And they chose not to do so.
Through the mayor, we've received no comments.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Because those are pretty ambitious targets, Mr. Mayor. I mean, I'm supporting them. Related to those, if I could, though, also staff, do you know from what some of our neighbors are doing to the east in Haldeman or in Brant or in Elgin or in Oxford, do our neighbors have similar targets in terms of the diversity of density of housing and the targets for housing for low and moderate income families?
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, and in fact, our neighbors in Brant County, Haldeman are also subject to places to grow legislation, so their targets are more aggressive than what's proposed for Norfolk County. And Oxford also has a very strong and aggressive affordable housing program. So what we're proposing here is modest in comparison to our neighbors.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Brunton, then Councillor Height.
Thank you, Mayor Luke. Councillor Oliver asked my question somewhat, but I want to get this clear. And as a developer that wants to develop a 100-acre parcel in Waterford, Port Dover, wherever, do I read this right, that 25% of all new housing has to be moderate income households? You will tell him he has to build those, or am I reading this wrong? And then 10% have to be for the affordable low income?
Through the mayor, staff does work with the developers, and in the past we have been doing this kind of thing, recommending that they have a certain percentage that is townhouses, not singles. You've seen that before in plans of subdivision that have come here. So we have been working with them to try and reach some targets. This may be a little bit higher than what they have seen in the past, but it's not something that's new to them.
Well, I'm thinking of the developer, and I can speak from some experience that they buy lots. The developer sometimes is gone. In the case I know of one that's developed the land and built the homes, but in most cases the developer gets the draft plan approved and starts to unload the lots. And somebody has to come in, particularly with the 10% problem in here. How do you build a house for that level of income? How do you do that? If he can't do that, is it mandatory for him to do that? If he's got X number of lots in a subdivision, let's say, well, what's 10%? 10 lots out of 100, we'll say, that they have to be built to a low income standard?
Through the mayor, it's a target. So as I indicated, we talk with the developer and try and encourage them We tell them about this target, and after that, it's up to them what happens. But what I envision is that the subdivisions will have lots that would have duplexes, so an R2 zoning on them. They will have blocks that would be for condominiums, that would be rental housing, townhouses, that sort of thing. So that back at the first stage, when they're setting up the lots, that intent to have that type of housing would be set out when they do the draft plan approval. So then those developers that buy the lots would buy lots that they could build on the type of houses that were intended through that approval from council.
And going back to, you say you had no comments from the builders. I think very few local are the developer locally. I think more of them are just builders. And it's going to be a case where they'll find out when they go to, if they decide to develop, and I can think of one, but it may scare some developers off too, if they can't sell the lots. And it's a case of where you say you sent it out for comment. I'm sure a lot of them haven't read it. That'd be my own idea of what's happened with some of these developers, knowing some of them. I'm sure they haven't read it, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councillor Height.
Thank you, Mayor Luke. I have the same concerns as the previous two speakers. It seems very excessive when you're asking, 30% to be of your new housing to be multi-residential or semi-detached or townhouses. I feel this could handcuff our developments. It's not something like in Dover, Dover Wharfs or Dover Cliffs or out that way. It's all single-family dwellings, and all of a sudden you start jamming townhouses or multis in there, and they shall, even though it's just a recommendation or something like that. I think we could cause a bit of a dilemma here. I too feel these numbers are high. I don't think I'll be able to support this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Columbus.
Mr. Mayor, to the planners, who monitors these targets, and what would the penalty be if they weren't achieved?
Through the chair, it would be planning staff that will have to monitor the targets, bring something forward to council. Penalties, there is no penalty set out in these policies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Black.
Thank you very much, through you to planning staff. And aren't these targets kind of associated with provincial or federal funding for housing?
Thank you for the question. So these targets are based on the data that was collected, based on our population trends, based on demands currently within Norfolk County population. The population's aging faster. We have a population that's aging quicker, and there aren't housing options available other than your standard single detached unit. So there is a demand for alternate types of housing beyond the standard single detached unit. And renting as well. Some seniors they don't even want a condo, they want a rental unit, a nice new rental unit. So there certainly is a demand there, and I think progressive builders get that and are working towards that, certainly those that I have spoken to recently. In terms of funding, the province right now is focusing heavily on funding, and there's millions of dollars coming forward through housing through different programs. Currently, our division is working on a proposal through the Home for Good, new funding around housing with supports. So recognizing that our aging population needs support as well. So there are multiple avenues for additional funding. Our investment in affordable housing funding RFP will be issued over the course of this summer and next summer as well. So there'll be about $1.6 million available for developers to develop affordable housing. So there are other opportunities in addition to our existing programs where a homeowner could apply for a grant to purchase their new home. So these targets are based on real data, based on experience by the consultant as well as us locally in terms of what we can realistically envision over the long term. It might not happen shortly, but over the long term, and progressive builders are aware of what standards are being set elsewhere throughout the province.
Thank you very much. I thought that was an important connection that maybe the council wasn't getting. I know that we all like to have single-family dwellings. That's the best case scenario, but a lot of the zoning is linked up to social housing, so I appreciate the response.
Any other questions for staff? Is there anyone in attendance tonight that desires to speak in favor of this report? Yes, sir, and could you just give us your name again, please?
Yes, I'm Brian Van Houtigen. I'm from the St. Williams area.
Go
My
ahead.
question is that it was Norfolk County Services that sent the sheriff out to the house where I was renting at, and I'm on a disability support system. To make a long story short of that, in about a month from now, I don't know where I'm going to be. The sheriff said, get out. I paid my rent. The landlord gave the property back to MCAP Corporation, which is a mortgage bank with the bank and all that. And the property, I believe, recently sold where I was, that I'm at currently or whatever. And what options do I have, since it was Norfolk County Services that sent the sheriff out there to boot my butt out of the house and lock all the doors?
Can you respond to this gentleman, please?
Sure. Thank you, sir. I didn't catch your name. What was your name?
Brian?
Brian. Hi, Brian. Okay. So maybe we can talk about this situation not in a public venue, and I can share with you some contacts to make and some things that you can do to help secure some housing. Right now we're talking about an official plan amendment, and if I talk to you after, outside of this public avenue, we can talk about what you can do to find some emergency housing.
Well, I'll sit here and listen tonight, and yeah.
Brian, if you can just take a seat, we're almost finished this application, and then Trish will speak to you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Marlene, thank you very much. Is there anyone else in attendance who wishes to speak in favor of this report? Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak against or in general to this report? Is there any other questions of this council? Councillor Sonnenberg, please.
On the subject of finding housing for as many people as we possibly can, not too long ago, a year or two maybe, the province brought in a program where they encouraged people in town to open up their homes to either an apartment in the basement or one end of the house is separated from the other, as long as it had its own access, which is good. Is there any movement afoot that you know of to do this in the rural areas? We have some large, spacious houses out there that could accommodate other people. Parking certainly isn't an issue in the country as it is in town, so I just wonder if there's any movement to doing the same program in the country.
Thank you. Through the chair, at council direction, Housing Services would be happy to explore that option and discuss with planning to move forward.
Oh, so it isn't restricted to the urban areas only?
Through the mayor, at this point, the zoning amendment that was completed a couple of years ago to permit that second unit, the focus was on urban areas, and at that time, council direction was to be cautious, to have time to evaluate how much uptake there was and what the impact was. I think enough time may have passed that we could do some more research and perhaps come back to council to advise what uptake we've had to date and what the implications could be in the rural context.
Anything else? I would like a motion to close this public meeting. Councillor Heidt has moved, Columbus has seconded that we now close this public meeting. Discussion? Those in favor? This public meeting is now closed. What is your wish, the recommendation? There is a recommendation for it. Councillor Black?
I move the recommendation contained in the report, and I guess it's to receive it as information.
Seconder, Councillor Oliver. Black has moved, Oliver second. That this staff report, DCS 1737, official plan review of the housing official plan amendment be received as information, and that public input has been received and considered as part of the decision. Any other discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? That is carried. I need a break, 15, 20 minutes. You okay? Thank you.
With hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just a place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger along. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger along. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario's south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger along. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger along. With hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger along. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger along. On a strip of sandy soil lies lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Up north, on a strip of sandy soil, lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger long. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road, bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger long. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road, bound to be back for more. Of North, on a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road, bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger along. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger along. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger along. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger along. With hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger along. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger along. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through
Okay, I would like us to go to page 156, please. I would like to get on now with reports of committees. There are several, most left over from, last week. It has been moved by Councillor Sonnenberg and seconded by Councillor Brunton that the minutes of the Council and Committee meeting dated May the 2nd, 2017 be adopted as presented. Of course, the minutes from last week's council and committee. Any discussion, on those meeting minutes? If not, I will call the question. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Tourism and Economic Development, moved by Councillor Height, seconded by Councillor Wells, that the minutes of the Tourism Economic Development Advisory Board's April the 24th, 2017 meeting be received as information. Discussion. Councillor Oliver, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I'll direct this to Mr. Baird if he can help us. I see right at the bottom of the first page of the minutes, business arising, the South Coast Business Coalition follow-up. Again, Mr. Mayor, I know we had Kirby Sheik, who was here, going to be here as a deputation, a couple of months ago at least, I think, and
Yes.
had to cancel. Do we know yet anything about when they will be coming to council to give us an update on this downtown revitalization study? That's my first question.
Mr. Mayor, I have spoken with Mr. Sheik, and I am not aware of it, the next date when they will be coming back to council. But they do know that council is very keen to get an update.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Chris. And Mr. Mayor, my only other question on those minutes is on the next page at the top. And I'm seeing a new term that I don't really know yet, I guess, and that is alternative accommodation. And the reference to an alternative accommodation study that was done. I don't know whether this is housing or accommodation for visitors, or could Mr. Baird maybe help me with that one?
Sure,
Mr. Baird, please.
I'll do my best. In fact, Mr. Hoskin did present to the Long Point Region Conservation Board. Alternative accommodation in this definition refers to places where tourists can stay that would not necessarily be hotels, motels, but could be tourist cabins, could be houseboats, could be something exactly like that, alternative, the glamour or glamping type thing, and looking at what others are doing as a way to get away from the conventional bricks and mortar to provide more overnight accommodation.
Maybe if it's not too big a report, could we see a copy? Or?
Well, I would be pleased, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I'll have Mr. Hoskin share with you. I think it was a PowerPoint that he shared with you. I think it'd be fairly informative, so I will attend to that tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Height.
Thank you, Mayor Luca. Further to Councillor Oliver's comments about that, I think you were on holidays, actually, probably in some different accommodations while Mr. Hoskins was here presenting that report. He did. You can download that video at YouTube. All right. So, but Mr. Mayor, there's a problem with these notes. It says Norfolk County Agriculture Advisory Board minutes, and it's not. That was a bit of a confusion over here. It's the TDAB meeting, correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. So, it's wrong.
Ours says 161 is Norfolk County Agriculture Advisory Board meeting.
But in the body of it is actually the TDAB minutes. So,
Mr. Clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, sorry, we identified this at Councillor Oliver, I think, pointed out on Monday. So we're just in the process right now of getting a Word copy from planning, and we'll replace it online. So it's a issue we're aware of and staff are working on.
Councillor Columbus.
Yes, I'm not so sure that Clark Hoskin actually presented that alternative accommodation to council. I know he did it at the Ag Advisory Board. I know he did it at the Long Point Conservation Authority. And he was asked to present it to council. I'm quite certain.
Mr. Clerk, do you want to clear this up for us?
There is a request for him to present this next week to CIC.
Okay, so it's coming. It is coming.
And on the other issue,
You heard it so many times.
I did contact Kirby, Mr. Sheik, also because he initially indicated when he withdrew that he was going to come on May 12th, and now the date that he's given me is June 27th, hopefully.
Okay, that clarifies it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything further? Motion to receive these minutes as information. Those in favor? Opposed? Carried. On to page 164. Moved by Councillor Oliver, seconded by Councillor Wells, that the minutes of the Energy Conservation Committee dated December the 2nd, 2016 meeting be received as information. Any discussion? Councillor Columbus.
Just a question related to this to Ms. Robinson. I noticed the new Delhi library, the addition that's being put on there. People are asking me if it's very energy efficient because half that building is windows. Just wonder if your staff, Michael there, had a look at the architectural drawings of that and whether he had any input into that building.
Through the mayor to council, I'm not sure. I can certainly get that information and report back to council.
Well, we'll get that information to you, but I've been over there. I know they're installed. So I know they're a little more energy efficient than the ones that were there. I saw another hand. My apologies. Councillor Height, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Luke. My discussion has to do with item D and E, I think, a little bit. I see Councillor Oliver mentioned the policy about the new build for the facilities guidelines. And then down below, there's some 2016 projects on the operating budget, electric hand dryers, things like that. I'm wondering, at some point in time, there was supposed to be a purchasing policy review coming up. And in that, what I'd like to see is certain operating costs or energy efficiency be part of that. So if you buy a dryer that's more efficient, it may cost more. But overall, the total cost over time, it would be cheaper to run. So I don't think we have that in our policy now. We pretty much go for the lowest bidder every single time. But I'm wondering if there would be an update on when we're going to get that purchasing policy review come back.
I can't answer that.
Okay, we'll put it on the list to find out.
I was going to say, if that's something that staff could get back to us on.
Yeah.
Mr. County Manager, would that be fair? I'll leave that in your hands then. Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Black, then Brunton. Thank you.
Mayor Luke, just make Councillor Columbus feel a little bit better on the new Delhi building. I did have a look at the plans and we did review them. One of the biggest differences I think that you'll and everyone will experience is the entranceway. The entranceway before it came in, and it was always a problem. You open that door up, and even though they put in that airlock, still the air was just blowing right into the library. So it won't have that same problem, and that will be a huge difference.
Councillor Brunton?
Thank you, Mayor Luke. I'm looking at item H, energy efficiency grants, and it refers to about, I don't know, three of them there. Substantial amount of money. Is that found revenue for 2016? Like, I assume we just received that. Is that correct? Can somebody answer that?
Councillor Oliver?
Not sure I can answer it specifically, Mr. Mayor, but that anytime we receive those grants, we get them after we've purchased and installed the fixtures. Let's say it's lighting retrofit in an arena. That money, once it's received, goes into a special energy conservation reserve fund. So it doesn't just go into the year's current deficit or surplus, it goes into a reserve.
Okay.
If that's where you were going with the question,
Yeah,
Councillor.
well, it's what, 39,000
Yep,
or 40?
yep.
So you're saying that goes into a reserve? Okay, 'cause we would have just received that? I just... All right. And my last question, if I may, the bottom of the page, I see where they're wondering if they can use the legacy fund for a solar project. Would you not have advised them that there's a policy on that? Mr. Oliver, Mr. Black?
Go ahead. I can answer it, but go ahead.
And that's there, and that Councillor Oliver and myself, at our next legacy meeting, and we really haven't had the opportunity yet to bring it forward and have some sort of a discussion, but the return on money, you were talking about that last week, I think, about looking at another supplier that would give us a better return on our legacy fund. Well, this is similar, where we thought the return on the fire hall in, I think it was the fire hall that we're looking at in Waterford, was huge. So we thought, well, maybe that's where we should be investing our money, because the return on it is phenomenal, and that we would have that discussion at the next legacy meeting.
Yes, and good question. Certainly, we will know, probably in a little over 4 months, what our return will be for the last year, end of September. We get reported shortly after. And so this is something to keep in mind as these things come up, because as you know, we had a little extra money this year. The investment was better, and we put some money aside for a recreation consultant, $50,000. There was about $250, I think, left over after our hospital commitment, and our reserves were put away as per policy. Council has the policy where that money is to go. Council has the ability to say this year, I would like some money to go here or there, and of course you need support. Anyhow, good question, Councillor Brunton. Anything else on these minutes for the Energy Conservation Committee? If not, you know it's to be received as information. Those in favor? Carried, thank you. Harbor Museum minutes, page 168. Wells has moved. Oliver seconded the minutes of the Port Dover Harbor Museum dated March 6, 2017 meeting be received as information. Any questions? Those in favor? That's carried. Page 171, moved by Wells, seconded by Sonnenberg, that the minutes of the Norfolk Environmental Advisory Committee dated February the 13th, 2017 meeting be received as information. Anything here? If not, those in favor? Thank you. Carried. Moved by Councillor Height, seconded by Councillor Sonnenberg, that the minutes of the Norfolk Arts Centre Advisory Committee dated March the 8th, 2017 meeting be received as information. Any questions? Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Page 178, moved by Councillor Sonnenberg, seconded by Councillor Brunton, that the minutes of the Health and Social Services Advisory Committee of March 16th, 2017 meeting be received as information. Any discussion here? Questions? Excuse me. I hear none. Those in favor? Carried. And last but not least, Councillor Brunton has moved, Councillor Height has seconded that the minutes of the Heritage Committee minutes dated March 27, 2017 be received as information. Any discussion here? Hearing none, those in favor? Carried. Four items of communication that begin on page 192. If you would turn to that, please. First communication is from Jim Rohrbach from the Lions Club District A, the Centennial Coordinator request for flag raising. It has been moved by Councillor Brunton and seconded by Councillor Height that the request from the Lions Club for a one-day flag raising to commemorate the group's centennial anniversary be approved. Any discussion? Those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And this is, of course, you've read the correspondence. I meant to mention it's the anniversary, the 100th anniversary of International Lion Clubs and their celebration. On to Jim McGimpsey, the General Manager of our downtown Simcoe BIA. His communication of temporary relief from obstruction bylaw, summer sales and promotion. It has been moved by Councillor Brunton, seconded by Councillor Height, that the Downtown Simcoe BIA request for temporary relief of the obstruction bylaw 2014-211 from May the 15th, 2017 to October 21st, 17 be approved, pending the usage to not obstruct pedestrian traffic or accessibility requirements. Any discussion? Those in favor? Carried. Page 195, moved by Brunton, seconded by Sonnenberg, that the request from the Corvettes of Southern Ontario to utilize Linwood Park on August the 6th, 2017 be approved, and that the rental cost for the park usage be covered from the mayor and council grants to others' account. Discussion. Councillor Brunton.
Just very quickly, Your Worship, I'm looking at the certificate of liability insurance, and I notice on there it says Simcoe Parks and Recreation are added as additional insured. Wouldn't that be Norfolk County? It's like Simcoe Parks and Recreation, that's a long gone.
I've already changed my copy.
All right, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Anything else? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Carried. And our last communication is from Sherry Shira and Julie Powell, Norfolk General Hospital. And this is concerning lottery licensing processes. It's moved by Councillor Oliver and seconded by Councillor Wells that the letter from Sherry Shira and Julie Powell on behalf of Norfolk General Hospital be received as information. Discussion. Okay, Councillor Oliver, then Height.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I think this particular piece of correspondence warrants a little bit of discussion by council. I know we've had this sort of discussion before around other charities. I'm thinking back to the days when the Simcoe Rotary Club ran the Friendship Festival when it was still called that, and there were some issues around their licensing and all that sort of thing that I think got resolved. But specifically around the fundraising lotteries and that sort of thing, the wording in this letter from the hospital folks that concerns me, in particular, the first paragraph, we feel that the process is being made more complicated than the legislation suggests by asking for the maximum supporting documents as opposed to an appropriately lesser level of documentation. I did correspond back and forth with our clerk, Mr. Mayor, about this, and we had some good discussion. I think all of council saw the correspondence back and forth. And my suggestion or request, Mr. Mayor, through you to the clerk is, would it be possible for us as council to see the specific requirements, if it's the Alcohol and Gaming Commission, the specific requirements that that provincial body says that we must do with a lottery licensed charity? In other words, if we are asking more detailed questions than the provincial regulation states that we must, then I would suggest we should change our protocol and begin to ask less detailed questions and give more flexibility, if you like, to the charity in terms of how they spend their funds and so on and so forth. So, Mr. Mayor, as a minimum, I would ask that the clerk's office or the licensing office share with council the specific parts of those provincial rules, if you like, that require us to do what we've been doing relative to this kind of charity. Because I, for one, would like to see, if I end up saying, well, I absolutely agree, our staff are doing nothing more than what they're mandated to do by the province, then so be it, we'll live with it. But if we could interpret such that we're doing more than perhaps we need to do, or we must do, or we shall do, then I'd like to see it changed. So that's just a request. I know this is just correspondence.
Thank you. There was another hand I saw. Was it Councillor Height? Yes, just looking for my list sheet here.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Luke. I know this has been ongoing for quite some time now, a couple of years now, or since we've implemented this, and I got the same problem down in my area. The Legion's upset, the Lions are upset. They don't feel that it's even worth their time anymore to go through this onerous process of these applications. Now, I do see that they were from their forms just generated right off the Alcohol and Gaming Commission website, probably, for download. I'm not sure if Norfolk County is asking for more. It looks like we are in this particular report, but I remember our clerk sent us an email to explain how we may go about fixing this. If you could re-mention that at council, I think we need a letter, or the mayor has to go meet the premier and get her to fill out one of the forms, maybe to have it streamlined.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, great question, Councillor Height. Yes, I can send you the link to the policy. What we have here, and this is just to give you an example, this is the manual here, and it's prescriptive. So all these things like requirements for bank accounts, receipts, all these financial reporting requirements are directly in here, and I'll send you the link, or I can even pull out exactly where we have to do it. So I would completely agree with council that there is a lot of regulations, lottery licensing. You know, we think of gambling maybe 20 years ago and how strict it was and how illegal it is, and now the province has taken a completely different position where there's lots of casinos, there's a whole different attitude towards it, but yet the municipalities are still stuck with very rigid regulations that very much treat it as it's a illegal and you know, activity that there are very few small exemptions for, and that's kind of the regulation that we're living in as municipalities, whereas the province has taken a much broader view. So I think if council wants to send some message to the ACGO or the Attorney General, that would be terrifically helpful, and I know we've taken, my office and council initially has taken some significant positions that other municipalities have looked at in supporting local charities and communities, especially when you think of break-open tickets, and with chances we also kind of look to try to bring in a different arrangement with the Ontario Lottery Association here. So we've been very progressive in terms of all our licensing areas, especially lottery licensing, and I think that the ministry looks at us as being one of the more forward-thinking municipalities. So I think a letter of support for them to review some of these requirements would be terrific.
Councillor Black?
Seeking direction for that letter, because I think that that's an excellent idea, that we do send a letter to probably AMO as well. Maybe they can, they're our association, we pay fees, and maybe they're hearing from other municipalities. Maybe they can lobby on our behalf as well as the two that you mentioned. And I certainly would support it, and you put a motion on the floor or direction? Or?
Well, I have Councillor Black, a motion to receive his information, which I have not read yet. But if you wish, and it's simply to receive his information, the excuse me, the correspondence. But certainly, if you wish to add to that.
Yes, would like to add to it.
Tell me what you would like.
I'd like to direct you, Mr. Mayor, to write the letter and maybe get Andy to help you, to outline some of our concerns about the details that are required, that it's being restrictive and people are backing off and not doing the fundraising that they used to do. And we know what's happening at the library as well. We had concerns there with this whole process. So it's tying everybody's hands, and we need them to go out there and help us. If they don't raise the money, then we're going to have to raise taxes.
And while he's writing that, I just, and there's no motion, so I would like to make a couple of comments.